My name is Piyanka, and it is truly an honor and delight for me to be presenting in front of you and talk about growth hacking with data. Quick logistics: if you are tweeting, would like to follow, my handle is Analytics Queen, and if you would like to connect with me, the best way to do so is on LinkedIn. You can find me, Piyanka. I also have some cards here if you would like to connect at the end of the session. So, real quick background on Airing. We are a consulting company, management consulting company focusing on analytics, and our special focus or our capabilities is actually developing organizations' internal capabilities. So instead of saying, give us your data, we give you insights, we say, we go in and we try to figure out how to develop the organization's internal capability through recruiting, through training, and through consulting. And we have diverse set of clients, Fortune 100 to small organizations, high tech, e-commerce, retail, the whole environment. So, what I would like to hear from you is, what do you think is growth hacking? Is it another fancy name for analytics? A. Is it a new discipline leveraging analytics in the core? B. And it's not available. So how many of you think it's A? Not another fancy name for analytics. Okay. Is another new discipline leveraging analytics in the core? Okay, about 30–40%. And none of the above. None of the above. Okay. What is it?
It's a marketing discipline.
It's a marketing discipline.
Based on analytics, but it's a marketing activity you are doing to get new users, acquire new users.
So acquire new users.
For your services.
For your services. Right on. So growth hacking is a multidisciplinary discipline with a single focus, and that is of scalable growth. And it does, as you said, it does. The difference between this and traditional, what we've done before, is that it combines, it's one team which has product development, design, analytics, and marketing expertise together, which works in a lean fashion to execute quickly. What do they want to execute? One significant differentiator between growth hacking and traditional model is that they use pull strategy. So as against product, you build the product, marketing, you will go out and reach to the customer. Growth hacking uses those engaging experience and builds it within the product itself. So it uses a pull strategy. That is one, to me, that is one big differentiator between growth hacking and our traditional approach of doing analytics. And I'm sure most of you have heard of the Facebook and other stories. So I think most of you are familiar with the overall, so I'm going to zoom through some of this, but then go in the depth of how do you do growth hacking and systematic hacking. So there are 4 components of growth hacking. I'm sure you're familiar with this, but real quick. You start with you build a must-have product, right? So what does that mean? Facebook, before they had a SWAT team for growth hacking, had 45 million customers already. So they didn't start from zero. You can't growth hack from 0 to 1 million. You can growth hack from 1 million to 10 million. You need to have a must-have product, a product that people want, a product and services that people want. Once you have that, you understand the must-have experiences. What is a must-have experience? What is it that what product do you have, what feature do you have that your customers are coming to your site for? What do they really love? What do they enjoy? So that is must-have experiences. That is the second component of growth hacking. You incorporate, once you understand what that must-have experiences are, you incorporate that into the product, and then you remove frictions from that. So as an example, going back to Facebook, the must-have experience they found was if somebody within the first 7 days of, or 10 days, first 10 days of joining Facebook, connected with 7 friends, they were most likely to stay long term. Right? So that is, they understood that one engagement metric. And what did they do? They incorporated that the ability to find friends quickly into the product itself, using address book, using your friend recommendation, to basically help with that. Find your friends quickly and keep coming back, right? So that's what, for example, Facebook did. And then they remove friction. And I don't know exactly the details for Facebook, but I can hypothesize that they may have found that, having a tutorial on Facebook, how do you use Facebook when you log in, might be a detractor to them adding with friends. Although it makes sense, because Facebook is new, how do you use Facebook would make sense, but that might be a friction point, and so you would remove that and incorporate the must-have experience. Is that making sense so far? So you can use analytics to understand the drivers of must-have experience and understand the detractors of must-have experience. And to do that, there's a method to the madness. One of the frameworks we have used successfully is called the 3 key questions framework. You don't need to write this down. You will get this deck, and there's also a lot of resources at the end of this. So don't worry about it right now. Just go with me and see what you can get out of this. It doesn't look like 3 key questions at the outset of it, but there are many questions. The first question is, how do you define how am I doing? So even for you're saying you're going after one metric, which is growth. But growth of what? Growth of users? Growth of revenue? Growth of margin? What are you going? Growth of visitors? Growth of active users? What are you going for? Define how am I doing? Define success. And then quickly start figuring out what drives that growth metric and whatever you come up with. And then figure out who your different customer sets are and how do you engage them. So this is the highest level what the 3 key questions is. When we teach this in our classes, it takes us about an hour and a half to go through this material in detail. When we do this for organizations, for one iteration, it takes us 3 to 4 months to do it right. So I am talking about this at a 30,000 foot level, you know that. But once you understand the fundamentals, it is peeling the onion on your organization. That's what we're talking about here. And you can So how do you define? I'm going to talk about each one of them really quickly and then take an example where we use this framework for online retail, real estate company. So you can define how am I doing in a fashion like this. Some kind of top-down financials. You start with some metric. Number of users, revenue growth, margin growth, whatever it is, and you hypothesize what may be driving your metric of choice. And then you, of course, prove it out by analysis and then testing. You can use top-down financials, you can use balanced scorecard, really does not matter, whatever it is. Find a systematic way of defining what that growth metric is very sharply, and then defining what drives that. And then the second level of that question is, okay, I understand ABC drives my growth. You start peeling the onion. How do these first level drivers interact, and what drives those first level? You may have certain products which are doing better growth, have better growth. They may have different cost dynamics, loss dynamics. This is just an example. You start figuring out the dynamics of your own business. 2 gaming companies, by the way, can have the same set of products, but can have really different growth dynamics. They may be focused on different customer sets. Their average ASP, the average spend per day per customer, may be completely different. So this is where you start peeling the onion on your specific business. Growth, profit, whatever those 2 items are. You start figuring out, once you figure this piece out, you start figuring out where it is that your specific, what are the particular dynamics of your specific business. And then thirdly, you figure out who your customers are. Initially when we start, we think all our customers are the same, right? Facebook, I'm sure, started with, all users are same, all are Facebook users. And then really quickly, as your pool grows, you realize, no, there are some users which are going to use Facebook every day. There's some users who are going to use it for business. There's some users who are going to use it weekly, whatever. Their needs are going to be different, right? So very quickly, once you figure out your first and second level, you'll have to start understanding your customers, segmenting them into clusters. So any which way you want to, whether you're using advanced techniques like segmentation, clustering, or some RFM proven method, But some ways of figuring out how your customer set sits in your growth charts and aligning your strategy to that. So the highest level, this is your 3 key questions. Again, I've gone through a lot of this material in very short time, so I don't expect you to understand, but as long as you understand, at the highest level, there is a systematic method of peeling the onion. That's what we are going for. So, how do you use this for growth hacking? Right, great, now you have some ways of kind of peeling the onion in your business. How do you use that? So, at the first level, you build your tree, you hypothesize primary drivers of growth. You use that analysis because you have already a product, you have data on your product. You use analytics, mostly correlation analysis, to find what proves out, what part of the tree really proves out. And then you use testing to see whether it is causal. Now, most of you are familiar with correlation versus causal, right? Yes? Yes, right? Okay. So correlation is great, but what we want is causation. Really, because we want to move this and see growth more. Right? So that's what we are looking for. But we have to start somewhere. You start with correlation. Correlation is, analytics is what informs hypothesis. If you can use it to, so the strongest hypothesis comes from analysis, analytics, and then goes and feeds into testing. So let's take an example of this online real estate company website, where users can come in and browse the website. It's one of our clients. I'm going to give some details of what we found, that's why I can't give the name of the company. But essentially, you can imagine a company where people are going in to browse available properties on sale, right? And you can see, for this zip code, what's available and what's the going price, and I'm interested in this, that. So you can do a lot of stuff as a visitor, but then once you register is when you can save your word, right? Like, I want to look at these 10 properties, and at that point, they can connect, this company can connect the real estate agent back to you and say, would you be interested in us showing you the property? Right? So this is the kind of the overall model. So in this case, the growth hacking goal was grow registered users. Because essentially, if you can do a lot of stuff as a visitor, but then I don't know you. Once you register, I know you, I can market your product, I can monetize, right? So that is the goal. So you start with, again, using the measurement framework, and this is starting from the really high level, right? So you start with number of users. I want to increase the number of registered users. And with your team, you come up with a tree. And this is, again, a sample of the tree. When you really go and build this tree, it will be very, very bushy. And, when you sit with your teammates of 4 or 5 and you build it on your, it will be really bushy tree, you will have a lot of hypotheses. And this one is not hypothesis. We believe, number of registered users is a function of number of visitors who come to our website and the number of people who will join, right? And number of visitors is a function of new visitors, returning visitors, and so on. New visitors may be a function of channel outreach. Returning visitors and those who will join may be a function of engagement. If they are engaged, they will likely say, yes, I will join. How would we measure engagement? Well, we think you can measure engagement by more number of pages they visit, more time they spend on the website, more interaction per page, right? So you come up with your hypothesized growth drivers. We don't know this to be true. We are hypothesizing. We think this may be true. And most of us, if we are within our business, we have good idea, right? We know, I think this holds true and so on. But that's good. We have our good gut sense, but we want it to be proved by data. So then you prove it out. And in our case, what we proved out was actually visitors who browsed more than 10 plus pages had significantly higher return rate. And they came back, right? So they had 10 plus pages, something happened at that point that they had done and browsed property number 1, 2, whatever else, and they had done add to cart or whatever, save the wish list, they had significantly higher return rate. That's step 2. We proved something. And then step 3 is, I want to test it out. I want to step the collision. So the logic here was, okay, if these guys are going to come and return, and then probably, and the returning visitors actually join, they join at a higher rate than first-time visitors. What if we pop up a registration, like register now after 10th page? What happens? Can we get more people to register and without having them say, I don't want to sign up, that's why I'm not here, without churn? So that's the step 3, that's the testing part. That was our hypothesis. Registration pop-up after 10th page visit should drive up signups and without incremental churn. And it did. I had an impact of 2 million. The exact messaging was more aligned to save your work. You've done this, you've looked at all these properties, you're liking it, okay, save your work. And that save your work join basically resulted in a lot higher signups, immediate $2 million impact. Now, one of the advantages of a growth hacking team is that this team can do this really quickly. Because the product development, the design, the marketing, all of them are together in a lean center. And that's why growth hacking is powerful. So this was at the highest level, this is what we followed. Measurement framework, basically, hypothesize primary drivers of growth, prove it out by analysis, and you use testing to prove it out. Right? Would it really happen if I were to do this? Would it really make a difference in this case? Now, so at the highest level, this is measurement framework. As you start doing growth hacking, you quickly start saturating. You get 2 million here, 1 million here. Your primary drivers will be saturated very quickly. Then you start getting into the secondary drivers, your portfolio. And again, you do the same thing. You do analysis and you do testing. You figure out your particular dynamics of the business. Growth versus profit, growth versus whatever it is. And see what these different products, different features, different pathways, where's the opportunity here for your business? And then you come up with hypotheses. Wow, I found this. I found that if I change this to this, it seems like it's one of the drivers of growth. You test it out by making pilot changes to the product and see if it works or not. That's the same thing you do at the customer level. Again, when you start, your customers would be homogeneous. So you would take one cluster of customers. Very soon you'll start cutting the pie and saying, okay, for Facebook, these people who have Facebook installed on their smartphone are different set of users and they have different needs. And what I give them on their smartphone, then must-have experience is different than what they need on a browser for people who come weekly. Right? So the must-have experiences will be different. And we all have experience, we all use Facebook, right? Yes? Have you not seen how you go from browser to smart app, the smartphone, the application, the experience changes. Why is that experience changing? One is obviously device localization. But the other part is that you are a different user. So they are localizing that, they are customizing that must-have experience to you. You can use the same method, same approach for micro-optimization. This is one example again. We were going for more registered users, more signups. And one of our hypotheses was, hey, if you change the join button, if you increase the font size by 1, or if you change the rather than you join, if you call it login, or maybe get alerts, or maybe save your work, maybe we'll get more registered users. Okay? That's great. We tested some combinations, in fact all combinations. Most of you are familiar with testing, right? It's design experiments. You do it in and out, right? So anyway, you know our design experiment. You can do it. If you're not familiar with it, we have one kick-ass course. We call it kick-ass course because it's really effective. In 2 days you can learn design experiments. hands-on. Now it's actually self-paced is available online. And there's a whole recipe for it, so you can learn this stuff. But what we found was, yes, one size bigger font, just one size bigger font, and we replaced join with login had 2x incremental conversion. So the part about coming up with hypothesis and testing, I don't think is rocket science. The part about making it effectively connect to the growth hacking or actually driving growth with is that thinking of starting top down, thinking of your tree, and making sure it goes down. You go approach it systematically. You just don't test any idea. You just don't test any random or start thinking about, oh, what's the answer to this question? I wonder how many customers use this particular feature. You do not approach analytics that way. You approach it from the top down with a single focus of, I want to drive growth and I want to drive it quickly. How will I do it? Right? So that's kind of the approach.
You have just one platform whereby you manage multiple countries for multiple languages. And
how do you optimize? Yeah, how do you localize? The question is, and then how do you? So I cannot talk from the BI perspective, right? And the traffic splitting and based on the IP and so on and so forth, how people do that. But I think most organizations start with one flavor. One size fits it all. Obviously, the first time I'm going to build a shoe, I'm going to just build my first basic shoe and it should fit all. And then very quickly you learn your customers are a different set of customers. Some need heels, some don't need heels, some need this design, whatever else, and you start. So everybody starts with one offering, and then they start segmenting. The reason for segmenting has to be justified by business. What is it that you believe? Why is localization needed? Is there language? Is there different? Do customers in Brazil browse Facebook differently or use Facebook differently than in US? I bet. Okay, prove it out. If you can prove it out, then you've made the case for it. Right? But everybody starts from that one product fits it all. It's the reality of our So, quick summary, growth hacking is a powerful discipline, and especially when you do it systematically. You can get significant business impact very, very, very quickly. And 3 key questions is one such framework that can help you do the systematic part of it. There are a lot of resources for you to access. There is a white paper on the 3 key questions on gary.com. You can download for free. I also have a book coming, Behind Every Good Decision, which has one entire section on 3 key questions. And it's actually part of the leadership toolkit. You can sign up for that book. We're giving away books for free. You can sign up for that, or you can take the training I was just talking about, analytics and testing. There are some key prompts for that. But these are resources depending on where you're at, what you're looking for. Questions?
So how do you suggest organizations get started with growth hacking? I mean, our organization, we have teams of analysts, and teams of product managers, and teams of marketers, and siloed, and getting something out onto the site takes a while.
Yeah.
As you go in and you say, get started with this your advice?
Yeah, so we've tried different methods and we've failed miserably in different places. So my experience is that it starts from leadership. Leadership has to want to do this. Facebook had to be 45 million registered users before somebody woke up and there said, let's growth hack. 45 million is not enough. How do we go to 400? Somebody has to see the opportunity. Because it is taking a SWAT team, best of you, come together now, just focus on growth. Somebody has to believe that. So it usually comes from leadership. And it comes from leadership which is exposed. And to that end, we created a half-a-day session, which was basically a half-a-day executive session, just for opening the eyes to something. And so far it's been effective. Because once you turn the perspective, then you can make changes. Because this needs effort, this needs money, this needs process change. There's a lot of things that needs to change. And so it cannot happen without leadership.
Do you want to describe the makeup of people?
Can you say it again?
You want to describe the makeup of a typical team? What type of people are in the team?
In a growth hacking team?
Yeah.
So a growth hacking team is usually lean. It has, and again, it depends on the scope, but usually starts very lean with 4-5 people, one product person, somebody who's very familiar with the product already, the existing product. A design person who can change that login button or whatever else needs to be changed. Product development person, somebody who can make that change. Marketing person, somebody who can come up with really good hypotheses. Usually an analytics person. I've seen growth hacking team being led by analytics professionals, people from, so usually it's led by either the people from product background or marketing background, but I've also seen people from analytics background leading it. But this is usually the core, the team of 5. And then depending on what the product is, sometimes product they have good resources, they don't, for them may not be part of it. Depends on the size of the organization, where they're at. But once you prove one, you find one, your first couple of million, it's very easy. Like you prove the case and say, okay, we need one more resource and they will do this and it also depends on like some organizations, the way they build a product is really kludgy, so they need more product than design or whatever. So it just depends on how agile that whole product platform is and so
on. Regarding the quickly part, right? Any secret sauce, if you will, because sometimes A/B testing could take like multiple weeks.
Yeah.
Like collecting
Yeah.
some customer data could take
Yes.
time.
Yes.
So is there like sort of like recommendation or suggestion to make
Yeah.
this run faster and faster?
Faster. I mean, it's all a function of your denominator. You start with 45 million customers, yes, you can test the hell out of whatever hypothesis you want to test out. You start with 20,000 customers, it's going to take you a long time to test it out. So it's all a function of denominator. But I think, and I've seen testing done completely wrong. It was one of our clients, it's actually a gaming client. You can do testing completely wrong when you test hypothesis after hypothesis of weak hypothesis, useless hypothesis. What if I change this button to this button? Yeah, where is this coming from? And to what end? What will happen? So when they don't follow this process of systematically going from top to bottom, don't have strong hypothesis, you can test. They were rolling out, like I would say, one test a week and no conclusive results. The whole testing team was, if you were to ask me the ROI of that testing team, it was 0 or minus negative something. And the reason was that they were testing the wrong things. So I think more designer experience is important, designing it right and so on. But I think the bigger thing is coming up with very strong hypothesis. Because at the end of the day, why are you testing? You're testing because you believe, I do this, this will happen. And you're only testing to prove this. And whatever this thing is important. And I think people forget that in this realm of agile development and lean startup and test every day and I'm going to make this change and pretty soon nobody has a clue of what's changing where and why are they even changing it. I think I've seen more of that than the numbers issue. Once you figure that out, you can design a good experiment, you can say, I have only 20,000 customers to test with. Every test is going to take me 3 weeks to run. What are my best hypotheses? Right? You just become more disciplined and you test the right things, you will see results.